Hello everyone, welcome to Liberal Tarot. I'm Sherry, a blue dot in a red state, utilizing Tarot to offer insight into these very interesting times we have going on here in the United States. So I'm really glad that you're here and welcome. And I want to do a special shout out to all the new subscribers that have joined us here. Welcome. I really do appreciate you guys taking a chance on a small channel and liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing, all of that great stuff helps to grow this channel. And so, yeah, welcome. The focus of today's reading is going to be about Maggot Mike and his speakership. And I know I left you guys on that cliffhanger of, like the EU and the war in Ukraine and like, what does that look like? And that there are serious discussions happening between the EU, UK, and as I said, anytime I say EU, I am automatically including the UK in that. I just won't always specify UK, EU. I'm aware of Brexit and all that. Anyway, I just, whenever I say EU, just know that that's a blanket term for the coalition of the willing over there in Europe, which includes the UK. And that they are seriously considering releasing the frozen Russian assets to help Ukraine. That, and the feeling, what I get from that is they absolutely will not let Ukraine fall. They will do everything that they have to do to keep that from happening, because they are not going to have a repeat of, World War II with, Hitler, marching across Europe. They're not going to have Putin doing that. Okay. So that is like, they are adamant. The other part of that was in that quest, they have talked about, and it was an article in The Guardian of, are they going to use a nuclear option when it comes to the United States, which is to withdraw the money that they have invested here. That would cause a financial crisis and collapse of our financial sector in ways that we've just have never seen before. And that was in the Guardian. That wasn't a Tarot moment. That was a news moment by people who know more about that than I do. And then I get that the only thing that is preventing them from doing that is NATO, is that treaty. However, they're like, but we are not going to allow this, and we will do. If it comes down to either letting Putin win and NATO stands, or, realizing that the United States is not a partner in the willing of, saving democracy, that they will cut the United States loose, and they will do this. Okay. They will not let Ukraine fall. They just won't. So the way this ties into today's reading is I was sitting there, I've been sitting with some things that, have kind of been coming to me intuitively, and things that I've said in readings, and, like this idea that this government, like everybody's going to be removed at once, this entire government falls. And I understand how that sounds. And as I always say, it's like, I'm a Virgo. I am very practical. I understand the Constitution. I understand that, if the president can't serve, it goes to the vice president. If the vice president can't serve, it goes to the Speaker of the House. So, would it be very important to know who the Speaker of the House is in the middle of, this potential, towers on fire, everything is collapsing around us? Yeah, who the Speaker of the House is would be really important. And now, just before I got on here, Aaron Parnas had a short that said, that Maggot Mike has lost the women in his caucus. He can't control them. Well, stupid of him to think he could ever control women. But, they are finally waking up. And I can't remember which one it was that called him a loser. I think it was Taylor Greene. It was like, he's just a loser. I was like, okay. So the other thing, okay, I'm going to tie this all together, is that they only, like, she's resigning early. They can only lose 3 more people on the Republican side. And we have, I'm going to say Speaker Hakeem Jeffries. They still have to vote for him. I don't think that they're going to do a leadership change, like in the midst of all of this. So, we probably really would end up with Hakeem Jeffries. The other thing that kind of keeps playing in my mind, and how many times I've said, our founding fathers have given us the blueprint of how to save democracy. Okay, and it's like, but I've also said, it's just this feeling that it's almost like I see our founding fathers looking at this going, yeah, we gave you the tools, use them. And so that's what I'm going to be looking at is, are they going to, if you tie this in with the reading that you just saw yesterday of if the EU and UK are like, no, we're going to do this. We are going to withdraw our money. We are going to, you know, to hell with the United States, because we cannot, the bigger threat, you know, what we're looking at is a destabilized, you know, United States that's going to fall, or we're going to have, you know, Putin on our, you know, knocking on our doors. They're going to choose, you know, cutting the United States loose. I mean, that's just, I don't even think that's an intuitive moment or a tarot moment. That's just the way that's going to be. So what if it works out that, okay, you get rid of, how do we save our country? You get rid of the president and the vice president at the same time. We've never had a dual, you know, impeachment before, but hey, why not? You also remove Maggot Mike and have Hakeem Jeffries. All of a sudden now we have Hakeem Jeffries as president. And then that's how you get rid of the entirety of the cabinet. And it's all within our Constitution. It is within our Constitution. So, I mean, I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I mean, have you checked the weather outside? I mean, have you looked at what's going on in the White House, you know, in that Oval Office? So it's like, you look at that and go, is that what's going to happen? So that's kind of what I want to do today's reading on, is like, are we really going to be using the tools that our founding fathers gave us in order to save this country? I know the resistance has been holding the line with, you know, what is that? The First Amendment and, you know, God bless, what is it? The Third Amendment, and not letting these people, you know, use their bathrooms. It's like, no, Third Amendment, you can go pee in the bushes. I don't care. But you're not going to use our bathroom. So, you know, let's see what that looks like. As always, for entertainment purposes only, I want to know how much of a stretch is this, and what is this actually looking like? So let's look at first Mega Mike's speakership. And is he, like, I've gotten that he will not make it to the end of December. So what does that look like for him? Let's just kind of do a peek in on his speakership. Okay, as always, for entertainment purposes only, and I am continuing with the Morgan Greer. I wanted that, you know, the energy to kind of stay, you know, be the same, because these two readings are kind of tied together. So, yeah, I've recorded them back to back. So at this point, it's what, Tuesday, December 7th at about 1 o'clock. It's Central Time. I live in the Central Time Zone. So, Maggot Mike, looking in at him, battle weary. Yeah, you don't say. He's getting it from all over the place. You know, I did a reading on that timing of Maggot Mike's, you know, possible Grindr account being released. That was interesting timing. It's almost like it was like blackmail. Like, look at what we can do to you. Stand in line. Be a good little soldier. Be a good little soldier. The Queen of Cups. And he's and the challenge to his speakership is the women and their message of, you know, you've lost the women, and they are pissed. Those women, they are not happy. Okay. And then coming in, making a plan. This is always slow and steady is the pace. This is my plan card. It's nights are changes. So slow changes, methodical changes, That I would say more methodical. And that's what's coming in about his speakership. The wealthy woman, our country, reaping the rewards of your hard work. And if in the lower energy, think of it as reaping what you've sown. Well, yeah, Maggot Mike, look at just what you have done. And so this can also be read kind of as a karma card. Oh, there we go. I was wondering when the Tower card was going to show up. Yeah, the tower is on fire. It is falling apart. And I'm kind of wondering if this isn't like what happens after, like, this Tower card. Like, this is what we have to look forward to in our country. I wonder. I was asking about Maggot Mike And here you have like the looking at the tower on fire, and that the tower has already fallen. You know, like I'm seeing like this tower in the past, like this explosive energy has already happened. And then this is what we have coming out of it, which is we're a wealthy country. The women, I think, are going to go over here. Like they're going to be the undoing of Maggot Mike. But then this is like what comes up after this, which is the wealthy country, a more methodical plan going forward, and the Empress card, which is, this is just our country. Okay. So, let me see here. I actually do want to know more about Maggot Mike. What is his, when are they going to do this? Are they going to, like, are they resigning? Are they, motion to vacate? Like, what's going on with, how is he going to be leaving? That's what I want to know. How is he leaving? Because we know it's not going to be willing. And and I just said it's not going to be willingly, and here it is, the Six of Swords. This is travel. I kind of get this with, like, are they going to flee? But this is a move, like move it on along. And this is also, this card is actually like crossing the river Styx. And so this is like your speakership is over, and it's time for you to move it on along. That's like he has lost the confidence of his caucus, and the women have already, are revolting. We want something more secure, something more stable, and we can't see how that's going to be yet. Like, think of this as, sorry, I just got an errand partner's notification, and I was making sure that it wasn't like in the reading that I'm doing. That happened last week, by the way. So it's like things are happening behind the scenes about how to make this like more secure. Like, how are we going to move forward, like, and get out of this batshit crazy lane and into something more secure? And that this is the conversations happening behind the scenes. So let me just ask more directly. Is this going to be we have Republicans resigning early, going out the door here with Taylor Greene. Is that what we're looking at? More resignations? Is that how they're going to remove him? And that could be, the resignations. That could be it, the resignations. Yeah, making the decisions to leave. Yeah, it's going to be the resignations. And there's going to be another woman who resigns too. And they have to have, and this could be a woman that's resigning. So that would be 2. We would just need 1 more. So let's see here. Let me just ask, do they vote to remove him? There's the 3rd woman, and that's, the Taylor Greene. I've been drunk on power, like calling out the abuse of power. That's what I'm feeling here. Calling out the abuse of power. And boy, I tell you what, if this is Taylor Greene, I will not, she is just, we all know. However, I will give her credit where credit's due. And her being a little chaos agent there in her own caucus, that is, and she's also speaking, she's making sense and sounding sane to her constituents. Whereas they won't listen to, the libs, because, got to own the libs. They will listen to her. And calling out, like speaking truth to power. That's what this is. And this King of Swords, I think that she is still doing this in face of all of the threats that she's been receiving. I mean, that is like, yeah, let me just see this King of Swords. Legal, and it could also be like legally, what can they do? The fighting, the Justice card, like a just cause, the Sword of Truth, bringing things back into balance. And it's all the messaging. Is he going to be Speaker at Christmas time? Is he going to be Speaker at Christmas? Hesitation, seeking, like going within, seeking the right path, and just be patient. These are not... Okay. What I'm feeling with this last 3 sets of cards right here, this, is things aren't going to happen quite like what I have been kind of feeling. It isn't going to be like you're close. That's what I'm feeling with this. Like you're close. It's going to be like in those shades. And the reason it's like hesitation, like, it's not quite like that. Seeking the path, this is just seeking a righteous path. And so that part, like, yes, there are things that are going to be happening. You're close to what it is. And then here you have the temperance card. Just be patient. I'm sorry, I'm not patient. None of us are patient anymore. We want this to end. And this could also be like a calmer voices prevail, in the midst of this. That could be that also. So part of like my intuition is that this is the best way I can describe what it feels like when like something's right. You guys, you've done, like jigsaw puzzles before, and I'm talking, this is like those great big, like the, 1,000 piece or more in these little tiny pieces. And whenever you get a piece that almost fits, but it doesn't quite fit, that's how I'm feeling with this. Like, it doesn't quite fit. And so when I get something that like, oh no, that fits, I almost hear like an audible click. Like whenever, just think of like that feeling of whenever that puzzle piece locks into place. That's when I know, like, that's it. What I'm feeling with this is Mega Mike is not, I don't see him staying in his speakership. I don't know how he's removed. That's what I'm saying with this. Like, this is a probability, a possibility. Honestly, I still see, it's like, I know, like, this is what I'm feeling. I know you want to make this be this and like make it make sense within the Constitution. And I fully was like, yeah, that's actually what I want. I want this to make sense within the Constitution. And it's like, it's not going to be quite like, yes, it's all going to be in line with the Constitution. And you're pretty close. Like that energy is there. And my guides are like, yeah, we understand why you think that. It's like, okay, well, give me something more here. Yeah, we understand why you would think that like that. That makes sense. It makes sense that, and this is where I'm going to tie those two readings together. It makes sense that if the EU and UK say we are going to withdraw our money and this is what needs to happen to keep, the United States financially stable, is you're going to get rid of Maggot Mike. Hakeem Jeffries is going to become the Speaker of the House, and then we still have the Senate. But I really think that the Republicans, they're wanting to distance themselves so fast and from Trump that it's not even funny. I mean, they are really like, we cannot be labeled a pedophile protector or we will never be reelected again. So if you have a Hakeem Jeffries, the articles of impeachment are like written up, and if they go the impeachment route with both, it's like almost like a double. It's almost like I see like the intent is for it to be a double impeachment. We're going to remove both him and Vance at once. And it's like, I don't even know that there's investigations. It's like they vote on it and it's almost simultaneously. As soon as the House votes on it, the Senate votes on it. Hakeem Jeffries is president essentially. And then we have, I don't think it's going to be quite like that, not with what I'm seeing here in the cards or, with what, now is coming through. I think it's going to be pretty close to something like that. It's going to be something that is, and I still am like, what is it? Because I was thinking, is it going to be, Europe withdrawing money? And it's like, it's close and that's a piece of it. But there's like something that is just so big and I just can't see it. I mean, and I've been trying. It's like I step back and I step back and I step back. And it's almost like there's this giant picture and all I see is like this little corner here. And I'm like, okay, I'm trying to get to that. I mean, I've even gone down the route of like, aliens are going to land. It's going to be aliens. That is my default conspiracy theory for everything. So don't take that serious. Please don't take that serious. That was a joke. But I mean, it's that kind of feeling like I cannot, and no matter what I do and try, and you guys have seen me, I've asked that I don't know how many times. And the thing that comes up is the Epstein files. Okay. So let me ask here again, what is the final demise of this administration? Okay, and the final demise of this administration, if it's the Lover's card or the Ten of Pentacles, it's the Two of Wands. The final demise is that the Democrats and the Republicans come together. And they put a stop to it. And remember, this is, it was it this card? It was either the Eight of Cups in this one or my Robin Hood deck. Whenever I do not know why I remember this reading. I think I remember, I think I remember my readings when something like resonates. Like, think of it like whenever this string is like plucked and that vibrations will take me back to, oh yeah, I remember whenever I read this with Eric Swalwell saying that he had like 100 Republicans that were ready to flip on Trump. I think that he does. I truly think that he does. And that they're getting ready to pull the plug on this entire administration. You guys, I didn't pull the thing down while I shuffled, but you heard me shuffling and you saw me looking at you, so it wasn't like I was picking out cards. The Epstein files. It's still something about the Epstein files. And that when that piece comes out, this entire administration, I mean, it's the Tower card. It comes crashing down. Now, does that mean that they don't have some plans on, like what's happening with removing Maggot Mike so we end up with President Hakeem Jeffries? I'm going to ask that here real quick. Do we end up with Hakeem Jeffries, president? And then, like, is Europe prepared to do this to keep Russia from their knocking on their door? Absolutely. No doubt at all. But it's the Epstein files. Let me just ask, are we going to end up with President Hakeem Jeffries? Because I know that I've gotten that it's like more like a board of governors, but there's going to be an interim thing, of something. So do we end up with President Hakeem Jeffries? Oh my God, could you imagine, the fringe maggots there lost their freaking minds over Barack Hussein Obama. This would just completely break whatever, they had left. Okay, so President Hakeem Jeffries, let's focus on that. Are we actually going to end up with President Hakeem Jeffries? Like now, not because of an election, but like right now or the next few months. The Emperor, you guys, and new messages and looking out into the future. Is that Hakeem? If it's Donald, it's like he's in the past. He's like over here looking at the past, and we have like new messaging looking out into the future. But do we end up with Hakeem Jeffries? Going forward, I still think it's the board, more like a board of governors. I'm just like, it's close, it's almost. And, these moving past this drunk on power and having to like overcome. So it's not really a definitive yes. It's not a no either. Okay, well. So this reading didn't go like I expected it to go. Just in case anybody like watching this is like, oh, you have preconceived ideas and you just like put that in here, the narrative that you want it to be. It's like, no, I truly thought that and I hadn't gone too far into that. That's why I wanted to do the reading, because I just wanted to know, like, what am I feeling here? I think that there are talks in all of this. And I have gotten, like, there's all this stuff, like, leading up to it. Like, they talk about, like, the Congress talks about impeachment, but they don't actually do it because of something else that's happened. I think that's what I'm picking up on here is there's all this talk of doing this. Yes, Europe absolutely is prepared to do that. Yes, those women and, with the Republicans are absolutely ready to pull the plug on, Speaker Mike's, speakership there. Yeah, we really could have, there could be something in play right now of, okay, if we can get rid of Mike, have Hakeem Jeffries impeach these fuckers and get rid of everything and then rebuild from there. Yeah, that's all within our Constitution. It's a probability. I think there's discussions on it. I don't think that's what happens. I truly think it's the Epstein files. Something comes out about the Epstein files that is just so horrible and so horrendous that this all just falls away. Which would explain why he's trying so hard to keep everything hidden. So will we get the Epstein files? I'll pull you down so you guys can see that I really do shuffle. I know you guys know I shuffle. I know you guys know that. But do we get something with the Epstein files? Like, when is that? I know it's supposed to be released on the 19th. I would be shocked if that comes from our government. And as far as the Epstein files, they're working on it. Working on getting these files released. They're being stonewalled. They're being blocked. And but because this administration knows it is the end of them, that woman with that fiery message, I swear, we're going to find out who this is. Right now, we're going to work with it being Marjorie Taylor Greene. Okay. And the evidence. And she has said that whenever the survivors come up with their own list, she will read those names. They're on the house, the floor of the house, and she will. I mean, and this is also the evidence about what happened to the women and children. Yeah. So maybe it's that, Taylor Greene is the one, that she does something because of this restriction. Let me just ask, I've got real quick here. What is this restriction? What do we need to know about that? The evidence, and this could be that survivor that comes forward, and with what happened to her. Yeah, it's still, I mean, and I've consistently been getting like this kind of thing, like whatever it is, like that evidence, there is a piece of evidence that comes out, and I noticed like in this card, look at this, this river of red and the red sunset and the red sky. It's like going to be a damn blood bath whenever that comes out. Okay. Okay, so not the reading that I thought I was going to do today, but it was the reading that we got. And whenever I explained how my intuition works, I'm like feeling that puzzle piece click. What I'm feeling with like what came up was you're close. And yes, you're picking up on this because those discussions are happening, but it's like that evidence of the Epstein, and like that's that click that I feel. And now how that plays out, I guess we're going to get to see, because it's like this huge picture, and I am only seeing, it's almost like I'm seeing it through a straw, and I'm only seeing like one section. And I try to step back and step back and step back, and I'm just not getting past that. But I will say that the energy, when all of this happens, the energy is going to be very close. So I always kind of like with the energy readings that I do each month, it may not be the exact event, but the energy is going to be there. And we're coming up on that December 15th energy. So I will put that up there for you guys to revisit, because short overview was the first 2 weeks of December felt like evidence gathering. The next 2 weeks felt like, whoo, fireworks, things really like start really taking off. And then we have a very Merry Christmas if you look at the timing with the Grinch. So that's where we are with that. That's where I'm going to leave it today. I will keep watching the news and doing these readings, and we will get through this. That I know. Our country will get through this. So thank you very much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you on the next reading. Have a great day.